There are mysteries connected with the birth of this republic, wrote the American Army officer Charles A. L. Totten in 1897. The American $1 bill could be said to represent some of these mysteries. Charles Totten was the first to write a comprehensive history of the seals or symbols on the dollar bill. He equated the birth of the United States with the beginnings of what he called the New Atlantis, a title given to a work by Francis Bacon, one of the most important figures in occultism and esotericism. On the back of the $1 bill, we have the Great Seal of America and its accompanying sign, the mysterious and mystical pyramid with the eye on top. There are some who claim the Great Seal to be entirely a product of a secret school intent on ensuring that every detail within its complex design had a magical quality about it. In this documentary, I will be diving into some of the secret symbolism behind the Great Seal of the United States of America that is shown on the back of the $1 bill, and I will be quoting directly from the book, The Secret Symbols of the Dollar Bill, written by David Ovason. The word dollar is derived from the German Taler. The name Taler was given to silver coins made in 1519. The obverse of one Taler showed the crucified Christ. On the reverse was the image of a serpent hanging from a cross. The serpent on the cross refers to the biblical story in Numbers chapter 21, where Moses is instructed by God to erect a brazen serpent on a pole, and all those who gazed upon it would live. It is a sign of healing, and in this image, the pole has become a cross, as the artist wished to draw a parallel between the magical healing power of this brass serpent and the healing power of Christ. It is this origin that has led some historians to claim that the taller image of the serpent cross is the origin for the dollar sign. Alchemists often represented the brazen serpent in their works. One of the symbolic forms was a version of a brazen serpent represented as a curvilinear line on a Tau cross. In mysticism, alphabets are often associated with numerical value, and the Hebrew word for the serpent of Moses, Nakash, has a numerical value of 358. The number of the Hebrew word for the Messiah is also equivalent to 358. In numerology, sometimes numbers are reduced, and if you add together 358, you obtain 16. There are 16 words in the two roundel designs of the dollar bill, counting the Latin date on the bottom of the pyramid. If you further reduce the number 16, you obtain 7. In magical numerology, the number 7 represents the triumph of spirit over matter. Medieval astrologers sometimes used a similar symbol to that of the dollar sign to denote the planet Mercury. It was derived from the image of a snake curling along a rod or a staff. The wand, or caduceus, carried by the god Mercury consisted of a rod with two serpents curled around it. Mercury ruled finance, banking, and so on. A 16th century woodcut shows Mercury holding a pair of serpents in his right hand and a bag of money in his left. The Bank of England in London has a caduceus on either of the main doors. In 1935, Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered that a new dollar bill should be designed. This design was executed by Edward M. Weeks of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. By 1935, there were in existence several versions of the Great Seal with the eagle. Edward M. Weeks selected that version of the eagle roundel that was currently in use. This particular version has been in official use since 1904. The most influential men involved in the design of the dollar bill of 1935 were Freemasons. Among these was the President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Secretary of Agriculture, Henry A. Wallace, and the Secretary of the Treasury, Henry Morgenthau. It has never been possible to ascribe the design of the Great Seal to any particular individual. The first metal die was cut by Robert Scott in Philadelphia in 1782. Scott was a Mason. The 13 five-pointed stars are arranged in such a way as to form a six-pointed star. This is the Seal of Solomon, or Star of David, a symbol that is widely used in magical text under a variety of magical names. The word dollar has 6 letters. The word one appears on this side of the dollar bill 6 times. When the stars were first used on the proposed design of the Great Seal, the Secretary of the Continental Congress, Charles Thomson, referred to them as a constellation. A number of coins had already been minted with a constellation of 13 stars around a radiant star of 13 points. In the center of one, minted about 1783, is an eye. The Latin on this coin says New Constellation. The five-pointed star is a powerful magical symbol with several meanings. The pentacle was used as an amulet during the Renaissance to represent the health of the spirit or the will of the spirit. The 5 points of the star represented the different aspects of the human body, including the spirit. The Greek philosopher Pythagoras associated the number 5 with healing. In 1853, the American historian Schuler Hamilton argued that the phrase, a constellation of stars, in the description of the Great Seal of the United States was intended to point to a particular constellation. He was convinced that this constellation was Lyra, the stellar harp in the grasp of the eagle. Hamilton came to the conclusion that America should be identified with the prime star in Lyra, which was Vega. This star is among the brightest in the skies. The Swiss artist Du Cimetière was an acquaintance of Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams. He was the first to sketch a design that included the image of an eye within a triangle. Franklin was a leading Mason and may have suggested the Eye of Providence because it was widely used as a Masonic symbol. In the written description that accompanied the sketch, the artist referred to the eye as the Eye of Providence in a radiant triangle. The engraving, based off of Du Cimetière's sketch, was created in 1856 by the artist Benson J. Lossing. It depicts an eye within a radiant triangle. In 1782, William Barton had sketched a proposed design for the reverse of the Great Seal as well. This consisted of an unfinished pyramid within 13 levels surrounded by a motto. The motto read in Latin, Deo favente, with God's favor, and perennis, enduring through the years. The eye within the radiant triangle in the dollar bill of today is a left eye. In the magical tradition, the left eye is linked with the moon and the right eye with the sun. In ancient Egypt, the chief god was called Asari. The Greeks called him Osiris. The name was written in Egyptian hieroglyphs with these symbols, which were a throne and an eye. The 2 hieroglyphs meant throne and to see. The symbolism of the dollar bill of today is designed to suggest that the pyramid will be completed with the aid of the all-seeing God. It is also hinted at in the national motto of the United States, "In God We Trust." The portrait of Washington dominates the dollar bill, and the face is deeply involved with the magical symbolism of the design. For example, the oval is set in a linear structure that resembles the Greek letter omega. Omega was the final letter of the Greek alphabet, which had been adopted by the early Christians as a symbol of the end of things, or of the condition to which humanity strives in the future. The word America was first used in a copy of a map of the world made in 1507, and it was named after the discoverer Amerigo Vespucci. When this unique map was discovered in 1901, there was at the end of the book a fragment of a star map that included a detail of the constellation known as Lyra. Remarkably, in 1820, this constellation, Lyra, caught the imagination of the Secretary of State, John Quincy Adams. He constructed from it a device for the passport of the United States of America. The letter A is among the most magical of all letters. In numerology, it is equated with the number 1. Many Christian works of art use the Greek letter A to represent the beginning and the final Greek letter Omega to represent the end. The 17th century German mystic Jacob Boehme linked A with the eye of God. God was not only the beginning, he was also the eye of the world. On the front of the dollar bill, the capital letter A appears 13 times. The Latin motto, E pluribus unum, means out of many, the one. Since the motto contains 13 letters, the idea is that from the 13 original colonies, there had grown the one United States. Above the radiant triangle and its Eye of Providence is the Latin motto, Annuit Coeptis. This motto has been taken from words written by the Roman poet Virgil in his epic, the Aeneid. In the epic, the words were written a bit different, but the adapted Latin on the dollar, Annuit Coeptis, translates as, "He favors our undertaking." Thus, in relation to the seal and dollar bill, the motto petitions aid in the daring enterprise of completing the pyramid, or America's ultimate goal. The Latin motto, Novus Ordo Seclorum, below the truncated pyramid, means a new order of the ages. In 1780, Charles Thomson suggested that the motto should be used for the Great Seal. Thomson, then Secretary of Congress, believed that the civilization of America would eventually create a new world order. Perhaps the truncated pyramid was visualized as a symbol of America, which would be completed in some future period.